of the rim. Got it! Oh, the slam! Oh, using Curry way downtown. Oh, what a shot from Curry!
What's up, NBA fans? Dom2K on the mic, and a couple of notes for today's video. First, as a lot of lists I've done, this top 10 is not in order. And also, in talking about failed duos, it does not mean they were terrible on the court or weren't a pleasure to watch. It just means they were a failed duo. For one reason or another, they didn't get to accomplish what they were put together to do. Of course, various factors led to this. Factor, like today's sponsor. Factor sends fresh, dietitian-approved meals straight to your doorstep that have never been frozen. The packaging basically comes refrigerated, ready for you to pop right into your own cool storage. The meals are prepared with their own team of gourmet chefs, which you will very much be able to tell. Throughout the week, I tried foods I'd never even heard of, and the quality blew me away. The best part? It'll take you barely 2 minutes to prepare. You have the option to go oven or microwave, where you just poke a few holes in the top, start the heating, and you've got a full meal at your fingertips with minimal effort. This isn't a limited or random palette either. The website is updated every week with a guarantee you'll be able to find something you like. Personally, because time is becoming increasingly scarce in my life and I've got a kid now, I don't always have time to set everything up and cook. So if you're finding yourself busier and don't want to eat poorly, Factor comes in clutch. To get started, head over to factor75.com or click the link in the comment section and description while using promo code DOM2K50 to get 50% off your first box and free shots for life. 2 free wellness shots from 3 available flavors for every order while you're an active subscriber. Factor is offering an amazing deal whether you're just looking for great food, crunch for time, or both. Be sure to use the link in the comment section and description. Anthony Davis and DeMarcus Cousins, oh my, what a time. Just randomly one day in 2017, we got the alert 2 of the league's most talented big men were now teammates. And they were big men of our era, so it wasn't just a regular Twin Tower assortment. These were guys who could put the ball on the floor, shoot from mid-range. It was just a very exciting time. For 59 games? Yeah, that's all they got together. Got traded at the All-Star break, 48 games through DeMarcus Cousins' tenure. He tore his Achilles. That was that. No playoffs, nothing. The most interesting thing about their duo, aside from the playstyles, was just kind of wondering who was going to be the third. I remember pondering if Chris Paul would return to New Orleans and lead that. When would another guy be available? Just with those two and the talent level, you remember them just taking turns dominating teams. Stat-wise, it didn't result in a crazy amount of wins. With their capabilities, though, they were one adequate piece away from possibly causing issues. Overall, just an unfortunate and quick tenure. It was the best teammate Anthony Davis had. If they could have gotten more time and a better roster, who knows if AD even ever leaves New Orleans. It was a decent try by the front office. This duo, though, because of injuries, failed. Do y'all remember when it was announced Chris Paul would be headed to the Houston Rockets, and the first reaction from many was just, how would these two play together? Harden requiring the ball as much as he did, Chris Paul only ever having really run teams with the basketball. They were 2 nice names. Playstyle wise though, it may be hard to remember in hindsight. We were very unsure. It then worked out to the tune of the greatest offense in NBA history, first seed in the West, and Golden State's biggest challenger of this era. You know, having them on this list is mostly because of how it ended and the lack of success. I believe most are in agreement 2018 was supposed to be their year. History would remember that squad very differently. They just caught the same break a lot of Chris Paul teams have caught when he got injured at a very crucial time. This paved the way for Golden State to advance. They tried to come back in 2019, weren't as good, still dealing with injuries, lost to Golden State again, and then had a less than graceful exit. I've got to be clear here, Paul and Harden on the court were successful. As a duo though, and what they were put together to accomplish, especially considering the way it all ended, they sadly would qualify for the failed list. Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving. Wow, talk about a duo just probably destined to fail. They came together, Durant was already injured and entering a very unfortunate part of his career. The personality mixing, Brooklyn didn't get anything out of the two they thought they were going to get. The whole first season was expected not to take place with the Achilles. The two got to play a little bit of basketball together before management swung for the fences and brought in James Harden. The trio never got to play together. James Harden left. Kyrie went through his vaccine issues. They got to play a little more basketball together. And just as I would argue the two were clicking the best they had since joining Brooklyn, KD got hurt again. Kyrie said, "I'm out." Durant followed suit. Though the list is not in order as mentioned earlier, I feel they are the most disappointing duo I'm gonna go over just because of what was supposed to happen and how fun it was to watch them for the little time they did get to play undisturbed stretches of basketball. A team which should have brought home at least one title now searches for answers and who to build around. Working through this list, I come upon a duo I once made a video about, talking of them basically being forgotten, how history wouldn't remember them or look back. Paul George and Westbrook, I would say, have gotten this treatment. And to be fair, what were they ever going to do? Popping into existence after KD left, having to one day, if they were successful, go against the KD Warriors. I always just felt it was a pairing more for fun than anything, at least to us. Of course, OKC was trying to make what they could of Westbrook's remaining years. On the outside looking in, it was just, oh cool, Paul George plays with Russell Westbrook. Still, never even emerging from the first round was kind of crazy, especially given how both times it didn't happen. I would call it disappointing. The most memorable thing about this duo to me will always be the fandom randomly trying to give Paul George MVP when it was clearly Giannis. Yeah, they for sure popped up at a bad time. Still a failed duo. Of course, there currently exists the ever so slight chance the two win a championship together. While they're not really considered a duo, so it's a different story. Just funny how that's even in the cards this many years later. Oof, this one hurts. Let's go with another Chris Paul duo for Lob City. He and Blake Griffin. Yeah, they both couldn't stay healthy. On top of fighting against the Clippers curse, it was just doomed from the jump. Existing from 2012 to 2017. Off the top of my head, I believe the only time injuries didn't sabotage them was 2014. Okay, 14 and 12. 12 they were new. 14 a better OKC team beat them. Every other run had some type of injury to either one of them, immediately snuffing out their potential. Although, like Paul and Harden, at least the basketball between them actually worked on the floor. It made for some very entertaining seasons and winning seasons. It's just when the Clippers went through the trouble of pairing them, it was supposed to result at minimum in a conference finals, which, yeah, they did not make. Paul and Griffin probably made some of your childhoods great. They were definitely the definition of a failed duo, however. Alright, finally, last mention of Chris Paul or James Harden. This one goes to Harden and Westbrook, which was even more confusing than the Paul fit. At least Paul could shoot. We had ideas of how it could work if they really figured it out. When Westbrook and Harden got together, I never knew how far it was supposed to go, how far it could realistically go. From the onset, I believed it would make life harder for Harden. Yet, I do have to remind everyone, at a certain point before the bubble, I believe, it started to look kind of good. Houston said, bet, let's go another step and just get rid of big men totally. Harden needs space. Westbrook is making it so Harden needs space, and he also definitely needs space. It unlocked them a bit. It unlocked this duo a bit. Still, they only got one shot at it, and it was the bubble season. And Westbrook wasn't right in the bubble. It's crazy, this was literally it. They lost, Westbrook was gone, then Harden was gone. Absolutely a failed duo, and a very funny memory of the night they got together. Side note, it became the final All-Star appearance of Westbrook's career. Oh man, from the outside looking in, I cannot tell you how relieved I was when Toronto finally gave up on DeRozan and Lowry. It was a good feeling duo, they were really good friends. Just, I don't believe there was ever a point in time where I saw their record or I saw them at the top of the East and truly believe they were contending or were going to go far. You can make the argument they pretty much only lost to LeBron, which is technically untrue considering in 14 and 15, I believe that was Brooklyn and Washington. Okay though, they did lose to LeBron 3 straight years, the whole LeBronto saga happened, and also there was just a lot of playoff dropping going on from both the stars. Yeah, you would see these 50-win seasons and know immediately not to trust it. In 2018, they nearly won 60 games. LeBron had a terrible roster considering what he'd played with all this time before, and I still chose Toronto to lose. They got swept. I had them losing in 7. Yeah, DeRozan and Lowry, just probably an important duo to Toronto and Canada. For the rest of us, it was very nice to see them give up on it and go for Kawhi, then immediately win the title. Feel good duo, but a failed duo. I believe Dame and CJ somewhat fit this criteria, and yeah, it was another duo we just could not wait to see finally cease to exist. They were entertaining. When they were both clicking, yeah, it got scary for other teams. The unit around them was just never anything close to contending. It was never fully adequate support pieces, so it habitually limited how far they could actually go in the postseason. Dame and the Blazers refused to give up on it. He used a lot of his prime putting up numbers alongside his running mate, just to predictably lose pretty much every single season. As a matter of fact, when we were discussing the new duo era after Golden State broke up and you posted all the duos, you saw Dame and CJ there next to everyone else and went, yeah, I guess. It also has to do with the fact McCollum kind of grew into that role. He wasn't traded there to play with Dame. He developed, they got good together. Very forgettable though. I've probably lied in the video I made. They will be more forgettable than George and Westbrook. I just didn't know if Dame and CJ were ever not going to play together when I made that vid. Last and least, LaVine and DeRozan will absolutely enter this list. No clue when Chicago will give up on it. I assumed by the time I made this video they would have. We're past another trade deadline, and apparently Chicago will run this back, and I guess Lonzo Ball is supposed to come back one day and the whole 2021 plot is supposed to execute. Look, it was a cute idea. I thought it was, at a time, even going to contend. Them losing their point guard to run with absolutely hurt them. It essentially dwindled the two to infinite bucket getting. No actual winning expectations. A lot of predictable ends to seasons. If you're coming across this video at a later time, I will assume a year from now, 2 years from now, it will no longer be a thing. And it will also be a very forgettable duo. Although I will give 2022 DeRozan his credit, he was a lot of fun to watch. That mid-range work was art. I think at this point though, a lot of the conversation around Chicago has been about their impending restart, which is still pending. When it's said and done, they will probably only have one playoff appearance together as well. Yeah, even if it's not their fault, this is yet another failed duo. I lied. That may have been least. It actually wasn't last. Here's my dilemma. If I am to put Wall and Beal here, hell, I put Paul and Griffin, how could I not also put Durant and Westbrook? Injuries also sabotaged them. They had a lot of fun together on the court. They even made the finals. I don't know, if I'm looking at failed duos, I feel Wall and Beal actually exceed this. Wall's torn Achilles certainly didn't help. Washington just never even fully got to get off the ground though. There were a couple of seasons where you looked at them and said, hey, this might be it. It can start growing from here. Wall also got hurt one of those years, and in the other, they flat out lost to Boston. This was a team where John Wall said they could have challenged and or beaten LeBron James. While I don't agree the 2017 Wizards would have defeated Cleveland, I do specifically remember thinking that could be their biggest challenge in the East, which speaks volumes. Also though, Wall and Beal were supposed to do so much more than they did. After Wall's injury, Washington took a little long getting off of Bradley Beal, and yeah, together they were literally the definition of mid. Their records were mid, and they together only ever made it to the conference semifinals. I would definitely have them on this list before I had KD and Westbrook. Sure, they failed, they still reached some pretty high marks. And there we are. Those were 10 failed duos from recent memory in the NBA. Of course, you could open this up and get a much longer list. You'll notice Ben Simmons and Embiid were glaringly missing, and I really low-key forgot. But B, it's also because I kind of just did a deep dive of them in the Embiid career video, so I didn't feel like repeating myself. Check that one out if you haven't. Let me know if you have any you would have on yours in the comment section. Also, be sure to hit the like button, sub, and hit the bell next to my name if you want notifications every time a new video drops. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.